Hey, Star Wars fans and Rule the Galaxy fans. Welcome back to another exciting episode of the Rule the Galaxy podcast. It is chapter 320, and you never know. If it goes long tonight, we might have 320 and 321 all wrapped up into one and cut it into two podcasts. But that's another story for another time. It is Joe in the pilot seat, and we've got most of our co-hosts bouncing around in a bunch of different directions, so they'll be hopping in and out shortly. In the meantime, as always, you can follow us, like us, share everything about us all over social media. Rule the Galaxy or Rule the Galaxy SW. Thanks for following us on YouTube. If you're doing that right now, we are on all podcast platforms of choice. Check us out there. But we're going to start right in, and I see that Alfie's behind the scenes here, and he'll be on here in a minute. And D-Doc is also putting some kids to sleep. Brent cannot be with us this evening, but I will say I want to give a special shout out to Brent because he and I just did episode 15 of the Travels with Friends podcast. Brent was a guest with me and my wife, Lori. We talked a little about, well, a lot about France, but a little bit about different parts of Europe and Australia. It was a lot of fun. Brent and I like to have a lot of topics to talk about. And so if we're not doing trivia or Rule the Galaxy, we also said, let's go ahead and do a podcast about travel. So while Alfie's waiting behind the scenes, we do have our special guest who's been a friend of ours off screen for a long time now, a great contributor to the show. We love communicating with him. It's our friend from Alabama, if I'm not mistaken, Mr. Dr.
Right.
Squatch. How you doing, Doc?
Man, I'm doing so good. I've been thinking about this all day, ready to come on, and crazy getting to see it behind the scenes. Usually I'm just hopping into the chat, and definitely want to say hello to Mr. Tom Line in the chat. You listen to you a lot of mornings, but yeah, man, I am so pumped to be here and to get to talk to y'all, not just have to like type it.
No, it's fantastic. We're excited you're here and you're getting to see the fun part of it where it's all moving pieces. And yeah, I mean it's I always say bubblegum and shoestring budget. That's what we're on. But we have fun. You know what? If you're having fun with your friends and you're just talking Star Wars and other topics, it's hard to beat that. So we really appreciate you jumping in. I do have to ask, my first question for you is, yeah, what made you come up with the screen name of Dr. Squatch? And what made you stick with that? Because our good friend Tom Line, who, as you said, commented already, Tom is he's kind of a fanatic for the Dr. Squatch soap line.
Yeah.
He's giving them to me as gifts, and it's crazy. So what made you come up with it?
Yeah, so I mean, I had no idea that the soap brand existed when I made this my name. It actually started out as like my PlayStation name. I was trying to come up with something, and it was like around COVID time. I didn't have much to do, and so wanted to make a name. But it kind of all stems. So for whatever reason, my like childhood nickname was Sasquatch, and so some of my friends I've known a long time still call me Sasquatch, but and then the doctor just basically came from that. I wanted to be a doctor. Was like applying to medical school at the time, and I guess at that time, like I had heard of Dr. Lupo and all these different like streamers and things. I was like, Dr. Squatch, I think that works. And then after I made that my name, like the algorithms and ads and things started showing me the soap advertisements, and I'm like, they stole my name. What's up with that? And then obviously Dr. Squatch became a big thing. And now I get soap for like Christmas and my birthday and stuff, and I love it. So
That's
it's all good.
fantastic. Yeah, no, that's great, man. That's great. We do appreciate you coming here. If you want to share any personal stuff about you, where you're from, what your background is, anything like that, that's great. But I know you've been a man of mystery for so long with this. This is the unveiling of Dr. Squatch here on the Rule of the Galaxy. But if I'm not mistaken, Auburn fan
Yeah.
in Alabama. Are you presently or are you in the process of becoming a doctor in real life? What is the story with all that?
Yeah. So yeah, I went to Auburn from undergrad, and but yeah, I'm currently at the end of my last year of med school. So I graduate in like a month or something, which is pretty wild. So um, but yeah, so I'll be starting residency here this summer.
That's fantastic. That is fantastic to know that we've got a bunch of guys talking Star Wars here, and we've got a friend of the show that is actually really smart and
Wow.
spends his time listening to us and chatting with us. It's really cool. So, well,
Wow.
while we've got you going here, and Tom's making fun of me, Joe's wild ride with no agenda. I have an agenda, Tom. We have an agenda. We're just doing introductions. That's all. Um, we have another Auburn fanatic right here, Alfie Molinaro. Alfie, how you doing, brother?
Hey, we're doing good. Uh, am I actually on? Because it says that I'm offline.
As far as I see, you were on, but Doctor Squatch, and I can. Doc, can you
Yeah.
hear him?
Yeah, I see him and I can hear him. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Tom, if you're in the chat or anybody else in the chat wants to chime in, if Alfie is not appearing or not making any noise, let us know. But we're going to go ahead. There went Azalea in her Raptors gear right there. She's getting ready to start the
Right.
baseball season. Um, yep, Alfie, you are on. Thank you, Tom.
All
Thank
right.
you for
Thanks,
sharing.
Tom.
So that it always helps when we have live listeners so we can fix our problems instead of me blowing an entire show with myself and Scott Rifen. By the way, Scott now has all the audio from that show, and he is going to try to piece together all the questions I asked him and re-answer them and put it back together. So hopefully we'll have a re-engineered show from me, Scott Rifen, and Adam Bray here very soon. Guys, we have plenty to talk about. I mean, we have tons to talk about. Andor, obviously, just last night and today. With how you doing, Azalea?
Hi.
Hi, love the logo on the hat there, kiddo.
Who are you all excited to say hi to? Yeah, Dr. Squatch.
No way. Azalea, you know
Yeah.
about me?
Uh-huh.
It's nice to meet you too. I love that hat. I gotta agree with Joe. That's
Yeah,
amazing.
it's a good looking logo. Good looking
Where are the
logo.
Raptors from? Don't be shy.
I forget.
Canada.
Yeah.
You're who
Wow.
told me.
Toronto
Toronto.
Raptors.
Yeah, I'm not really sure why they're a little league team, but hey, we'll go with it.
You know what? The kids love it. Dinosaurs sell. So let's do this because Andor's fresh on our mind, everything, and we'll all be able to talk about it when D Doc comes back. If you guys don't mind doing a refresher course with me, and let's talk a little bit about Star Wars Celebration Japan because there was plenty to go around for all of us. I think there was something for all the fandoms, whether it's movies, whether it's Legos, whether it's toys, whether it's animated series, a little bit going on there. Was there anything? And I'll start with our guest, Dr. Squatch. Was there anything that stood out to you the most? We obviously knew Mando and Grogu were coming up soon. But of the other things that were announced, what stood out to you most? And we'll talk about it for a little bit here.
Yeah, I mean, I think what's most intriguing to me was the Starfighter movie that they kind of gave some more information about. I guess we knew that a movie was coming by Sean Levy, but in the confirmation of Ryan Gosling is interesting. The time period that it's set, I thought that was a little. I don't know. I'm just thinking because we know pretty much nothing about that time, like after the sequel movies, and so I'm interested to see what they do. I'm cautiously optimistic. Ryan Gosling is a great actor, obviously, and I think that there's a ton of potential. I just wonder, like, kind of how connected or disconnected from the sequels it'll be, like how much they try and make it a standalone film. But I'm interested. I love the idea of it. I think it sounds cool. But obviously, the mall show too that's exciting for me.
Oh yeah, yeah. That mall probably fell right in your wheelhouse, right? Probably a good timeline for you with your age and everything like
Yeah,
that.
yeah. I'm
Yeah.
definitely. I mean, I love the originals and the prequels, and I enjoy the sequels too. But the originals and prequels especially are my favorite. So Clone Wars stuff is about as good as it gets. Yeah.
I would agree. I would agree. Alfie, did you not just send us something saying that the Levy Gosling movie was going to have something to do with a 15-year-old kid and Gosling being with him? Is that correct? Is
Yeah,
that what I was seeing?
I think D-Doc was who sent that to the group, but
Okay,
yeah,
D Doc.
they're running from two villains. That was basically what I've been reading for the past few days. Something to do. One of them is a Jedi, or
Hmm.
I don't know. It seems kind of weird that during that presentation, that when they showed the logo, there was the lightsaber sound. So
Hmm.
maybe that's reading into it too much. I don't know.
Gotcha. Gotcha. I I agree with you, Dr. Squatch. We don't know a lot about what's going to happen after the sequel trilogy. So, look, Brent's always saying, let's do something new, show me something new. Right now, right? Sky's the limit in that era. We can do whatever we
Mhm.
want. And I'm not sure, was Daisy Ridley, I know you said there were at one point in time 5 different things, Alfie, that she was involved with. Was she involved with this one at all? Or are we looking at the Jodie Comer and other people being involved with this one?
I think he said he wanted uh, a very old Ray in his movie, but I don't think that he was being serious. But yeah, there's still a number of Ray projects out there.
And Dr. Squatch or Alpha, either one, was this 5 years after The Rise of Skywalker, or was it even closer than that?
Yeah, I think it's a few years after. I'm not sure exactly.
I don't know for
Okay.
sure either, but yeah, like 3 to 5, I think.
Okay. Okay. Well, look, I think Ryan Gosling's going to put butts in the seats, right? I think Ryan Gosling will be one of those people that, outside of the Star Wars name and outside of Sean Levy being a good, movie producer and things like that, Ryan Gosling is an A-list person right now. We joked around about Jude Law forever, but Ryan Gosling will bring people. I mean, heck, he was in the Barbie movie, and how many people are going to see that and go, "Wait, I can go see him in a space movie now. Let's go check that out." I'm always going to think of him as being the guy singing in what was the football movie with Denzel Washington?
Remember the Titans?
Remember the Titans? Yeah, I'm going to think about him going, "Come on, this is great, right?" Sitting
Yeah,
in
he
his
was a
dorm room.
liability at safety.
He was. His dad was a piece of work in the stands. Yeah, Tom Line, can it outperform The Last Starfighter? That is a good question. I only saw The Last Starfighter once, believe it or not. It's been a long time. I have a
But
feeling this one will do a little bit better. Go ahead,
was that
Alf.
a really successful movie at its release, or did it just become kind of a pop culture thing? Like I remember going to see it at the theater,
Yeah,
and I would like there to be a remake. Honestly, I think that's a good movie for a remake, but I think there's a lot of
yeah,
legal issues there.
yeah. I would say so. And you know what? It was one of those once. That's a classic. Yes, thank you, Tom. Anyway, yeah. So that was the first one. I think that hit everybody like a bomb. Right? It just came out. We all knew the rumors were out there. That hit us. Let's follow it up with the Maul series. 20 years of Star Wars animation, and they bring out Maul Shadow. Is it Shadow Lord? Right?
Mhm.
Yes,
Okay. Sam Witwer's back, and let's see. It's going to bring in some of the old sequel trilogy stuff with Maul having an apprentice, right?
that's right.
All that
Darth
kind of stuff.
Talon.
Yeah, Darth Talon, and I'm trying to see what else is on there. If we had, was there a Mandalorian that was in that trailer as well, or
Uh,
someone looked like a
Rook,
Mandalorian?
is her name Rook?
Rook Cast, I think, or
Yeah,
something
Mhm.
like that.
she was one of the Maldalorians.
There we go. There we go. Yeah, I look. I Dr. Squatch, as you said, and I'm going to let you run with this in a second. I, I wasn't a Clone Wars fan when it first came out. It was off the timing for me when it got on streaming services, and I just got attached to it. And then obviously COVID, and you could really dig into it and do a deep dive. That's when it really took off to me. And now between Ahsoka, Asajj Ventress, and Captain Rex, those are 3 of my almost Mount Rushmores of Star Wars characters, and I love that storyline, and I love the animation style from it. So I think this is going to follow along with that animation style, bring some of those storylines in, and just keep making it better and better. So, what are some of your thoughts on that series? What are you hoping to see?
Yeah, I mean, I think that we've all grown to love animation in Star Wars, right? Especially kind of that style. But you're right. Like Maul is one of the greatest Star Wars characters, and I think the Solo movie set up so much for Maul, right? That we never saw. Obviously we see him in Rebels, and then right when he dies. But I do feel like there's a ton of stuff to see with like the crime syndicates, but also obviously it looks like he has an apprentice, and so we'll kind of get to see the inner workings of that. But and Sam Witwer is such a great voice actor too, and or just actor in his own right. But it just seems like it'll be a great show. It'll be interesting to see like how much it connects again with like the Clone Wars, or do they start kind of getting into the rebellion and stuff like that? Because it is in between, right? The Clone Wars and Rebels, I think.
Yes,
Yes.
it goes up until Rebels, so it's going to be in
Yeah,
that part right now, like with Andor, with Rebels, with Bad Batch, all that kind of stuff.
right. Yeah,
Um,
I'm
is
excited.
it? He's with Crimson Dawn now, right, Alfie? I mean,
Is
in
he?
this,
And
in
I
so,
don't know if he's there yet, but I would imagine he gets there. And I thought one interesting thing I read from Sam Witwer today was that this series will explain why he never betrayed the Emperor.
hmm,
huh? Yeah, because the Emperor at the end of Clone Wars said at the end of what season 6, even season 7, whatever, that he had other plans for him, right?
Right.
And it
Well, and
was to
at
stir up
any
the
time during the
underworld,
Clone Wars, why didn't he just say, "Hey, this is who my master was"?
right?
hmm, that's a good point.
I
Because they
just
have the whole run in, right? Savage and Maul with the Emperor, and obviously we know how that ended. But because Maul obviously didn't love him then, but I guess yeah, something must have changed.
I will say that is I just rewatched that Siege of Mandalore segment,
Mm-hmm.
and man, that is some incredible that little 4 pack with Ahsoka, with him and Ahsoka and the Clone Wars, or the clones, the Mandalorians all going at it. Some of the best Star Wars out there, even if it is just
Hmm.
animation, still some of the best Star
It's
Wars
pretty good.
that's out there. Yeah.
I want to see how he becomes Hobo Maul. Also,
Yeah,
you know?
how does he end up down there?
I do think it's good though that we do finally, and I know a lot of people would say it's way too late, but we do finally get to see his demise at the hands of Obi-Wan and Rebels. I still remember when that scene happened and so many people were freaking out, like that's it, right? That's it. But I thought it was really well done. I think we
Mm-hmm.
would have all liked to kick butt and take names battle at that time, but at the same time, you have an older Obi-Wan, you have an older Maul. They're really trying to transition that story over to get you ready for A New Hope, where you're going to see Obi-Wan, that older person, going against Vader, right? And so I
Mhm.
thought it was really well done. And then the different handhelds or holds that Obi-Wan did on the saber, right? Didn't he go through a whole
Mm-hmm.
series of them?
Yeah, he went
Right.
from classic Obi Wan to Clone Wars Obi Wan, then to Qui Gon, and baited him into trying the killing move.
There you go. I like that. I know I mentioned that. Oh, Detox, get ready to hop on. I know I mentioned that we knew everything was coming with Mando and Grogu, but I really thought it was great. Well, first of all, Pedro Pascal. Look, I'm not rich, but I kind of feel like I understand fashion a little bit. The shorts and the boots. Now, Doctor Squatch, you're much younger than me, so you probably are much more inclined with
Wow.
younger people's fashion. But that threw me for a little bit of a loop every time I watched all the videos. Him in
Yeah,
that combo,
the like eccentric crab fisherman look. Is that in this summer? Is that the summer look?
I suppose. Yeah, yeah. Tom Line,
I
those
love it.
boots. I agree. But look, something that really popped into my head, and I hadn't thought about it. Thank you, Rebel Force Radio, for sharing and making me reminding me. Sigourney Weaver and Galaxy Quest. Here she was kind of revisiting Galaxy Quest at Star Wars Celebration, right?
Right.
I mean, that's like art imitating art right there. I thought that was really funny to think about that because it had never crossed my mind until they mentioned it in their show. And I just thought it just stood out to me. But we at least get to see that she's going to be in an X-wing outfit. You know,
Hmm.
she's part of the rebellion or part of the New Republic or what have you. I think she'll do a great job on that movie, and I think we should see some really good stuff out of that. I'm at least excited. We've got the Babu Freaks involved. We've got Zeb involved. I think there's a lot of good things that are going to come out of it. And that trailer, those AT-ATs blowing up was fantastic.
Yeah.
So anything that I missed or we're not talking about when it comes to Mando and Grogu, any thoughts in your guys' head?
Grogu's swimming. That was the big thing all over the internet. He's swimming. He can barely walk, but man, he can swim. You know?
We have to wonder, could Yoda swim like that? You know?
Yeah, right.
That's got to be something that maybe they'll retrofit that into some night on Dagobah before we get to the original trilogy. They'll do a little animated series, Yoga on Dagobah swimming with that beast that eats
Right.
R2.
Just
Yeah.
about to say, I want to see that monster under there in the swamp.
Yes. D-Doc, are you with us? I see you hopping in and out. Are you with us, sir? I don't know if he'll be with us in a moment. That's okay. All right. I'm just going to go through some of the lists here of the things that we saw and see whatever sparks your guys' thoughts on this. Oh, by the way, another addition after Star Wars Celebration. Am I seeing the Lost creators are looking at making a Star Wars show?
They're that one hit pretty heavy, and it was reported everywhere. So, will it ever see anything come out of it? Who knows? But yes, it looks like they are trying to develop a new Star Wars series.
You know, I never watched one episode of Lost. Is that bad?
Never neither.
Neither have I. I don't know if you can
I've
hear
watched
me.
the beginning to end.
So you're the only one out of us that's watched it beginning to end. Okay. Go ahead.
It's classic J.J. Abrams. It just builds and builds and builds these mystery boxes, and it's like the little answers you get that just keeps going with making more mysteries. He's great at setting things up, but terrible at finishing stuff.
I heard the ending is interesting. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, but it's like that's just the problem. He made so many mystery boxes. How can you solve all of them? You just have to end it at some point. It was an okay ending.
Okay.
Well, you're the only one who saw the ending.
Like it, but I don't know. It was okay for the time. Would I ever sit down and rewatch it? No. But I mean, I rewatch The Sopranos all the time, and I don't think it had the greatest ending.
Okay. I'm gonna bullet point some things real quick. Actually, while I'm looking through my notes, and yes, Dr. Squatch, just appreciate your eyes, your ears, and any other things that you're appreciating right now, because once you get to be in your 50s, you need extra light to see things on notepads that you thought you could see. So yeah, that's why every time I was going to ask you guys questions, I was looking, going, "What the heck is that?" I had to go get another light to make sure I could read what I was bringing your way. So enjoy the healthy young eyes that you have. While we've got a second here, D-Doc, we were in the middle of a conversation when you hopped in. How are you, man? And your mic's off.
Oh my God, we're having a time here. Did Tom comment giant turd right when I showed up on the screen?
Pretty much.
But I don't think it was pointed at you. I don't know what the huge letdown in the giant turd was.
I know.
Oh, lost. There we go. He wanted to say that a giant turd was lost, was a huge letdown, and a giant turd. Okay. Well, good. I'm glad I didn't waste my time with that then. I will bypass that. Guys, real quick, 20-year animation poster. Are they selling that? Because I want it. I'm sure you guys do as well. Vanessa Marshall, friend of the show, was in Japan. Mark Newbold, friend of the show, was in Japan. Alfie and I his cousin, my uncle, was in Japan. So that was pretty cool to know we had people there that could give us insight. Dark Horse is coming out with the new Hyperspace Stories Codebreaker with Poe and BB-8. So it looks like we are going to continue expanding that sequel trilogy era. There's a new Acolyte book coming out with Jecki and Yord. And it looks like the High Republic books are ending here this year. Dr. Squatch, have you read any of the High Republic books?
No, I haven't. I don't know. I've heard that they're pretty good books. I haven't gotten around to it. And to be totally honest, I have a lot of books that I'm meaning to read that I just haven't gotten through. So, like I started The Living Force, the John
Mhm.
Jackson Miller, and haven't finished it yet. But now, with Revenge of the Sith coming back to theaters, I'm reading the novelization, the Matthew Stover novelization. So putting the Living Force on hold for here for a second, but I'll get to it one day. One day I'll get around.
Well, there's only so many landfills they can fill up. So
Wow.
yeah, it's
Okay.
time to put an end to that.
Coming off the top rope when it comes to High Republic. All right. Wow. Okay. Go ahead, D-Doc.
So once I started talking, I uncrossed my legs and ripped the wire out of my microphone, ripped the headphone wire out, and everything. I'm having a hell of a night setting up here, so I'm finally set. I'm finally set. So
Don't move.
yeah,
See,
geez.
Dr. Scotch, when we tell you we're running it again on bubble gum and shoestrings, that's how it rolls here. We might sound professional once we edit and clean it up, but
Oh yeah,
live, this is how it rolls right here.
the best way.
All right, guys, they mentioned some upcoming movies coming up at Celebration. The Charmin Obaid Chinoy, the Taika Waititi, the James Mangold, the Simon Kinberg trilogy. I'm not buying. I'm not buying that all those are happening. I know they say they're still in the works. They didn't mention a Filoni movie, which I know that was in
Hmm.
talks for a while. Are you guys buying or selling any of these? Are you believing in any of these? Out of any of them, I think I would lean more towards the James Mangold because it's what 25,000 years before any of the rest of the storyline. So he's kind of got open skies of what he wants to do.
I would agree.
I really thought that the Taika one was done. Like I until I guess I didn't even know that they mentioned it at Celebration. But hearing you say that, it's kind of like the first that I've heard of it. I kind of thought that was just
They just hired a new writer.
Okay. Well, I mean, hey, I'm up for it, but I think y'all are right, and I know y'all have mentioned this before, but it just doesn't seem like these things are ever going to happen. I think they're floating the idea, but I don't know.
And
Yeah,
I think
I'm
it's
sorry, John.
wild. Go ahead, D-Doc.
Yeah, I don't believe in the Ray movie happening. I think if that was happening, we're not having another Celebration for 2 years. I feel like if that was going to happen, you would have Daisy Ridley out on the stage for this one. Am I wrong about that? Like something just seems off about it to me. I'll be happy if these movies happen, but I'm Brent has taught me too much to where now I just am just like, yeah, it's probably not gonna
I do like that Brent has become this like reasoned being on the show, right? Like he's tamped down all of our expectations to
Not
where
mine. He won't break me.
Okay, well, there you go. You are also the only one who's watched Lost, so you're a rebel. You are out there. But he does make me sit there and go, I don't know. I'm excited, and I will go see a movie if it comes to the theater. But until I see, just like we saw this, I really believe in the Levy Gosling movie, and which tells me that the other one that was going to be the Rogue Squadron one is not going to happen
Yeah.
because I mean it was about starfighters, right? So,
I experienced the wrath of Star Wars fandom on Instagram for the first time
Really?
because of that movie. Yeah. I just
really,
commented it was Ryan Gosling doing his interview and I just commented and said I'm all in, and people were just like Star Wars shill, and the one guy was like, this guy isn't even a Star Wars fan, he's probably just a Ryan Gosling fan. I was like, trust me, I've been very critical of Star Wars. I was like, I have faith in this actually happening. And they're like, yeah, right. Like, it was like the weirdest thing. But I was like, this is kind of fun. Like, I haven't had many Star Wars interactions on Instagram. So
That's
apparently
funny.
I'm just a Ryan Gosling fan. He's very good in the other guys.
Barbie, yeah,
Yeah.
that was a big break, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen him in the movie Driver?
Mm-mm.
no.
Yeah, it's a very odd movie. Even Bryan Cranston is in it too. but his acting in that movie is phenomenal.
Is it like a Formula One or a NASCAR or whatever, or is it like an actual like?
He's a stunt driver that pulls jobs on the side, like as a driver for criminals.
Okay.
Yeah, it's very good in a weird way. The movie is very weird, but he is really good in it.
Have y'all seen
No,
The Place Beyond the Pines? That's another one. He's good in that one too.
No, I haven't.
no. I've seen what La La Land. Isn't
Yeah,
that? I've seen that. I've seen.
The
Remember the
Notebook early.
Remember the Titans. Yeah, Fall Guy. Here we go. Tom Line. Fall Guy. I have not seen that. I guess I should see it. I used to watch the Fall Guy TV show when that was out. Lee Majors, right? Wow, $6 million man.
Going back to what you said, Filoni did talk about his movie. It wasn't mentioned in
Okay,
that
good.
little blurb, but he did himself talk about that. It is still going, and that him and Favreau are mapping out season 2 and that movie and other projects, how they're going to wrap it up together.
Yeah, that's good to hear. And I think between Mando and Grogu, Ahsoka, and some of the other things going on, I think that would be good to have that movie. It would tie a lot of things in together. And Alfie, that brings up a good point. Ahsoka 2 starts filming right after Celebration, so they're going to
That's
be
right.
starting very soon. A good old Admiral Akbar is going to have some battle against Grand Admiral Thrawn.
Yeah, I like what he's talking about, but I don't see how this is going to fit into the overall narrative. But then again, I don't know. Maybe I won't care. But I'm excited for that. An all-out war between Thrawn and Akbar. Sign me up.
Yep,
Mm-hmm.
I am good with that. And then New Balin Skull, as we all know, coming in,
Yeah.
and they I think they premiered him there, right? The gentleman who's going to be playing that.
They showed a picture of him, like holding the lightsaber up with the robe on. So I don't think he was physically there, but I do know they revealed to the crowd what was going on with him. They showed a picture of him holding the lightsaber, and he looked good. And he was apparently friends with Ray Steve. It's Ray Stevens or Ray Stevens' son.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, apparently they were friends, so it's pretty cool for him to step in. He'll do a good job. He's a very good actor. Do they look identical to each other? No, but he's going to play that role really well. I'm actually excited to see that.
Yeah, he looked great.
Also, he did mention, be ready. The Mortis gods are going to play a role in Ahsoka season 2. Where do we stand on that? I personally really enjoyed the Mortis arc in Clone Wars. I'll start with Dr. Squatch, who's smiling. Were you a fan of the Mortis trilogy?
I love the Mortis arc. Yeah, I mean, I think it's one of the best arcs. I can't imagine what that's going to look like in live action. That's my main hangup. I'm sure it'll be great. I'm sure
Anakin
it'll contribute
Skywalker.
to the story. Yeah, yeah,
Oh.
fair point. We got Hayden Christensen, but and maybe we'll get some Sam Witwer, and I don't know, but it seems I can't even imagine it. I'm excited though. I love it.
I really like that. You could have Maul as the brother, Anakin as the father. Who would be the sister or the daughter until Ahsoka takes that role? Because she died, right? I mean,
Mm-hmm.
the daughter or
The
sister, what have you.
Morai, or is that Morai? Morai follows Ahsoka around, right? So it's
Mm-hmm.
kind of like, but I've to be totally honest, transparent. I've never totally understood that. Like, did Ahsoka become the daughter in that? And is that why the bird like follows her around? I don't know. Maybe we'll get some explanation.
I like, even though I want all the answers, I like not having all the answers. I think it makes it fun. It gives us a chance to talk about things and to theorize and give speculation and give our own head canon. So I'm open to all of it, and I really enjoyed that arc. I'm looking forward to see what they do with it in live action. Alfie, it looked like you had something to say on it.
I don't think they'll necessarily explain everything. I think it'll probably give you more questions than answers. But there has to be a vehicle to get Ahsoka and Sabine back to the galaxy. So I would think the world between worlds is
Mm.
the way to go. But Balin Skull is also looking for that. So you would think they're going to meet up there at some point.
Refresh my memory, guys. Ahsoka and Sabine are still there.
Hmm.
Balin is still there.
Right?
Everyone else went back.
No, Shin Hati is still there.
Shin's still there. Okay.
She's with the Raiders.
Okay, that's right. That's
Mm.
right. Yeah, I mean, you know what's funny is Stephen Kent, and you guys know we've had him on the show a number of times. He said Ahsoka was one of his favorite Star Wars things that's been done. He said he really enjoyed the mythology kind of part of it, the mysticism. So he's a really smart guy. I really appreciate his input on this. So I enjoyed Ahsoka. I'm hoping that Filoni takes it to the next level in the second season.
I'm just going to say what everybody thinks and is afraid to say. If you're going to make Heir to the Empire, just make Heir to the Empire. That's the one thing that I dislike about Ahsoka. Is that's what you're trying to do, but with your own characters. I get it. It's a kind of a fresh take, but then again, why not just make Heir to the Empire?
Yeah.
Tom Line's heading out.
I get that you
Sorry.
can't do it anymore. Goodbye, Tom.
See you, Tommy.
Appreciate you, Tom.
Look, he's got Jomo and Almo. I love it. That's it. Yeah. He calls me Jomo all the time. JMO. He calls my wife Lomo. It's wild. He is.
Now I'm
really-
Almo.
Now, if you just had a really high voice, you could be like the Sesame
Right.
Street character. Look, Ahsoka is 27 release, right?
I think so.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mando and Grogu 26, Starfighter 27, Maul 26. Man, I really wish that was a little bit sooner. Animated, you would think, could we get a fall release in 25? I don't know. The Light and Magic, guys. Season 2 of Light and Magic. That looks like a lot of fun. I enjoy those kind of things.
Mhm.
Dr. Squatch, when we were growing up and you didn't have the internet and you didn't have, streaming and all that stuff, we could go get the making of VHS tapes of all the Star Wars stuff. And it was like, okay, it's not the real movie, but we get to watch more Star Wars stuff.
Yeah.
That's what I grew up on. Alfie, probably pretty much same with you, right?
Yeah. Do you remember the day that Star Wars debuted on, I think it was ABC for the first time it was on television? And there was like a humongous block of time that was just making of Star Wars specials.
I remember all those old Star Wars specials. They had different hosts who did things. They had C-3PO and R2-D2 hopping in. So these kind of things mean a lot to me. And they're going to be working on the prequels on this one, correct? Isn't this where George takes
Yes.
CGI to the next level?
Phantom Menace and even like Pirates of the Caribbean and stuff.
Yes.
See, I still have not watched the first ILM one because I have this thing where it's like when I see the making of things, I feel like I may have said this before on here, where like if I see the scenes, all I can see is how they made it. And I don't like to see the magic revealed sometimes. I love to watch videos on how people make props and stuff like that aside from movies. And if it's ones that I like, for some reason, Star Wars, I like seeing the model sets and everything that they had set up, but I almost like don't always want to know everything because then I look at it a little differently sometimes. It's a little weird, I don't know, but it's just how like I think about it, where I'm just like, oh, for this scene, this is how they did that. It doesn't actually look like Hoth to me now because, I know that, so I don't know. It is really cool stuff. Maybe I will watch it. Maybe it won't ruin it. I don't know.
Alfie, he doesn't want to know how the sausage is made.
He doesn't.
Exactly.
Italian guys, we're good. Show us how the sausage is made. We're not worried about it.
I hate sausage tonight. That's not what I need to hear. I don't need
Before I jump into the next little segment here, first of all, real quick blurb: Rebuild the Galaxy, September 19th, and Jackson is going to make an appearance. So I'm really excited about that. The first one was fun. It was kid stuff. It was fun. Go into it with a grain of salt, knowing you're just there to be entertained. But before I talk about these next little bit of things here, Dr. Squatch, I have to ask you. I see the Clone Wars helmet behind you. I see the Mando helmet behind you.
Yeah.
I see some really good gear. I see a lightsaber hilt and is that a Grievous mask or a Grievous
Yeah, yeah.
face? Okay.
That's just it's these two are kind of like pre-finished ones. They're kind of like in the works.
Okay.
But I finished something up this week that I wanted to show y'all on here. I think y'all
Yeah.
might like to see it.
Bring
but,
it. Not
um,
only do we get a guest, but we get a surprise.
it's nothing like crazy, but it's pretty neat though. So I put this guy together.
Damn.
No, that is neat.
Pretty
Sheesh.
crazy. Yeah, it's really not hard to do. So pretty much get everything at Amazon, and it's like a 3D print underneath there, but it's pretty cool. I've been freaking out the neighbors, I'm sure. But
Whoa.
Dude,
Okay.
that is awesome, man.
Yeah.
So for people listening on the podcast, he is putting on a Tusken Raider head that he has created. I mean, was there directions on how to do it? Did you just kind of wing it?
He's
Well,
a doctor.
No. Well, YouTube is very, very helpful. There's countless people that record kind of their process, and I tried to kind of base it off of the one from episode 4, that
Okay.
and knocks out Luke or whatever. But yeah, it's pretty. It was a fun project. You can kind of just do what you want and make it your own. So yeah, it's
And
fun.
did you paint the silver on those eyes on it? Because it looks
Yeah,
like the paint looks perfect.
It's spray paint, yeah, but you've got to sand it down nice and smooth, and but it's kind of a burden, to be honest. The sanding, it takes a while, but
Wow.
but yeah,
That's fantastic. So outside of the helmets and things like that, is there certain things you collect? Are there certain things that you're into, either collectibles or figures or Legos or anything like that?
Because if
Yeah.
not, we can hook you up. You get started on something.
We know a guy. Yeah.
really whatever I get is mainly stuff I find at thrift stores and things. Like, I love the hunt. Like, I like to go and see what I can find for cheap, and also just living on a budget. Like, I like to get something for cheap. But ever since I was a kid, I've liked the Legos, and pretty much limited to Star Wars Legos. And so, like, I can remember growing up, I got the Tanev 4 Lego set, and it was just the coolest thing ever when I got that. But so I collect some of that stuff. I guess you can see kind of some around here.
You got a great setup. The poster's fantastic behind you. So
I tried to
love
get
the
it
art
all.
on that poster.
Yeah.
That poster's beautiful.
I know it. Which it's another thing that we don't need to get into, but like the Disney Movie Insiders, I don't know if y'all have heard of that, but it was like this rewards website where you could upload your movie tickets, or if you bought DVDs and Blu-rays, which y'all know that I like, you can get like rewards points, and then you can redeem it. So like I redeemed that poster. Like, I didn't even pay for that.
Nice.
But they've since shut it all down, and they don't want to reward their fans anymore. So, but yeah, I love collecting the posters and stuff. So yeah, it's a lot of stuff though.
Squatch, come to think of it, I'm pretty sure I remember you sharing that poster on Twitter when you got it. Now that I remember, because I think I signed up for that like VIP like thing, because you were like, "This is how I got it." I was like, "That's freaking awesome," and I signed up for it and totally forgot about that site actually. So I'm an idiot. But you said they shut it down now.
Yeah, it's all shut down, and they kind of had like a last hurrah. They kind of or they discounted a bunch of the stuff on there, but I was out of points because they wouldn't let you redeem anything, so I couldn't redeem anything else. But
Cool.
but they, like, at the end, they messaged me on Twitter, and they said, like, we want to send you something just to say thanks, and they sent me like some stickers and a Grogu hat and some stuff. It was actually really nice. I appreciated it,
Cool.
but they're
That's
gone.
awesome. Wow.
Yeah.
Always good. That's customer service right there, to give you a little shout out like that and some freebies. Well, the reason I was bringing that up was because, as you know, we always talk about toys. And I was looking at this and seeing that Black Series Jedi Survivor, Black Series Dash Rendar. That would be kind of cool. Dash Rendar from Shadows of the Empire. a bantha and a Tatooine set that looked fantastic. So your Tusken Raider helmet right there to go along with that bantha, because that's I think they said that's the first bantha they've actually put out for sale, except for like the miniature ones, right? Didn't they make some mini ones for a while? And this is a first full size one.
I thought there was one in the Power of the Force, but I could be wrong.
Well, we will see. We
Maybe
will
it's the
see.
first one with soft goods.
Maybe yes, because this one has fur or hair all over it.
Right.
So this ought to be good.
Soft goods.
They're, they're doing well, now we have a Luke, a Leia, a Gijor, and a Dash Rendar from Shadows of the Empire. So we're really pushing that, Alfie. That's all
We got to
Black
find them.
Series. Yeah, yeah. Let's see. Oh, they're having a new Luke X-wing in that cheaper version, the Power of the Force. Going to have a new X-wing for Luke. I kind of excited for that one because that seems like a good toy for my grandkids. Right? It's not too pricey, and they can play with it. Go ahead,
Yeah,
Alfie.
the Naboo Starfighter with Mando is on clearance everywhere right now for like $15.
Really?
Yeah, I personally think this is a good line because my daughter plays with Star Wars toys, and even at full price, they're still very reasonable for
Yeah.
something to open up and play with.
Yep.
I will
And
be buying. Go ahead.
they're not abandoning this line yet either, because they're coming out with. I saw Anakin and Rex and somebody else in the next wave.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I saw a whole bunch of new ones at Target the other day when I was telling you guys I was hunting for those Legos. I saw one where it was like a Mando figure with like a Mando mech suit
Yes.
in
Mhm.
one package. You know, I saw a lot of new Star Wars stuff on the shelves where like that New Hope Black Series Luke that I sent you guys with the orange outline
Mhm.
on it. When was that announced? Like, is that like, because I feel like that might have been it slipped under the radar for me, and maybe I'm not seeing as much of it on my feed anymore. But those figures look excellent. Like that was the first time where I was like, "Oh, I might need to just buy this at full price because it's
Yeah,
really nice."
there's a Luke, an
Vader?
R2, Han, and Princess Leia in that orange box that just came out.
Yeah,
And
the
they
Han
all
looks
look
great.
really, really good.
It might be the orange on the box. It just goes well with it.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
really pops.
Yeah.
Sometimes it just draws you in, right? Certain things, colors, scents, whatever. Maybe they scratch and sniff Star Wars characters. Maybe we need to get that.
The
I don't
bantha
know.
that might drive you away.
Yeah.
Anakin from Revenge of the Sith after he's burnt in the lava. That might be a bad burnt hair smell. Wow. Anyway, okay. One last thing on kind of a celebration stuff, and let's get to Andor. As long as you guys all have time, you're good. Tava Ren, a Knight of Ren. I didn't see or read into that much, but I saw
Yeah.
a new
The
Knight
Vision.
of Ren. Does anybody have any storyline behind that? Where it's coming from?
Wasn't it a comic book?
Don't know. I just saw the headline and I wrote it down because I wanted to come to the book of Alfie and others and get some
I
feedback on.
shared it the other day.
I
Now
think
have
it
to
was a
find it
comic, Alfie, if I'm not mistaken. I'm pretty sure it was. And that was one of those things where I saw it and was just like, this is something I will never know about in Star Wars because I just don't care about
Yeah, because we know so much about all the other Knights of Ren.
it. It was cool when there was a lot of mystery to it before, but I don't know. I'm kind of worn out on the Knights of Ren. Talk to me after Force Awakens and say, what do you think about the Knights of Ren? I would be like, who are they? What is it? We're going to find out.
Now, Dr. Squatch, I'm just going to tell you right now, as you can see, we all just keep going 100 miles per hour. So feel free to jump in and make any comment at any time. But I will ask you personally, Knights of Ren, are you interested? Does it, perk your interest at all to have Knights of Ren talk?
I think at this stage, my interest is a little bit less. then, like D-Doc said, after The Force Awakens, they were the coolest thing ever, right? I was like, I had no idea who they were. I wanted to know. It was the same thing with Snoke and everything like that. But I mean, I'm not going to say no to the series, but
Okay.
it probably won't be the top of my list of things that I'll want to see. But I mean, I'll watch it just like I watch everything. They've
Understood.
they've got me. I'm a sucker, so I'm going to watch it regardless. But
Gotcha. Oh, real quick, we're gonna hop in Andor, but Alfie and D-Doc, you were just sharing with me beforehand. It looks like ICCC Katie Sackhoff. Did I see that? So, Dr.
Mhm.
Squatch, I know I'm not heading down there, but that should not deter you from wanting to go, especially with Katie Sackhoff there. If you want to go visit, I would highly recommend that because that's a pretty cool get for them, I would
oh
say,
yeah, oh yeah.
because they were lacking on guest lists this year. I mean, unless you're a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle fan, I don't know if you are or not, but
Not as much, not as much, but it's all
okay,
going. But yeah, one day I'm gonna go to ICCC. I don't know if it'll be this year, but I've never been to a convention at all, any convention, and so
really,
I've got to make it
Well,
at some point.
oh, wow, we're gonna have to get you to something and meet up. Now,
I'm not indoctrinated. I know.
it
Again,
is
I'm just the shadow, like in the background.
it's a different adventure when you go there, and everybody's cosplaying, everybody's selling everything, and just the camaraderie going on. I really have enjoyed, especially the time that I've spent with Alfie and D-Doc and Brent and Nick Shesky and others at these events. It's been really good because we're just walking around being goofy and laughing and having things catch our eye. It's I don't know, guys. I mean, it's good to be involved with like some of the panels and everything like that, but it didn't deter my liking of the Steel City Con that we didn't go do any of that stuff. I still really enjoyed our time there. Right?
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, it's
yeah.
all, it's all overwhelming. It really is. And I don't mean that in a bad way either. It's like you're just going around and there's just something to see everywhere. And it's kind of like one of those things where when you leave and process it, you're like, damn, that was a lot of stuff. Like I actually was editing up our video that I took when we were there, which I wish I recorded more. That's one thing I think is I could have recorded a lot more stuff while we were there, but it's just like Star Wars and just like fandom overload. You're looking at cosplays, you're looking at just random stands, you're looking at the art. It's not just necessarily Star Wars. So yeah, it's really fun. It's really fun going to these types of things. And yeah, I never thought I would go to them ever, and now I've been to technically 3 of them because I've been to
yeah.
ICCC twice now, and the Steel City Con. So
Yeah,
it's really fun.
yeah. I'd love to go. One day I'm gonna go, and probably once I go one time, the floodgates will open, and I want to go to a bunch. But
It
uh,
I would agree with you. I think once you go, it's like anything else. It gets in, it gets into you, and then you're like, that's part of who I am, and I want to see more of it. That you, on the other hand, though, probably are at a point where you're so busy with things that actually matter and not this goofy stuff. You probably should wait until you get all that settled and taken care of, then go focus on
yeah,
that.
it may
So
be a few years. Right now, I have like hardly anything going on, which is why I'm making Tusken Raider masks and stuff. But it may be a little while after that gets going. But
Dude,
okay,
all you need is that Tusken Raider robe.
I,
You only need a
not,
few more props for that thing to be full
no,
cosplay.
yeah,
I'm so tempted to just complete it because I'm doing the same thing with the clone trooper. Ever since I made that helmet, one of my friends is a bad influence on me. He was like, "You gotta make the rest of the armor." And I was like, "Oh, don't put that on me." But so I've started printing it out. But I had to take a break, and that's why I made the Tusken Raider.
yeah. You talk about bad influences. I can say this for 5 years now between me, Alfie, D Doc, Brent, and others. We have been bad influences on each other. It is like, oh no, you should get that. No, that's cool. Go buy that.
Just get it.
Just get it.
It's only
Nobody's gonna.
$5.
I need a storage crate or whatever you have, Alfie. That's what I need for all
It's
my
what
stuff.
everyone needs.
Yes. Well, you're down south there. You need to connect with Scott Rifen, who's got
Yeah.
storage storage containers everywhere with his stuff. He's starting to do some unveiling online of just a little bit of everything. So it's always fun to follow along with that. Um, I have wasted enough of our time talking about Celebration, even though it was all fun, all good. Anything that we missed before we head on to Andor?
Joe, just one
Go
quick
ahead.
thing, or really for all you guys for Celebration. Did any of you guys watch any of the live footage, or did you pretty much just get your info from just like Twitter updates? Because I feel like it's kind of confusing as to what you can or can't watch. Obviously, there was a weird timing thing this year too,
Mm-hmm.
but it's like Celebration was a little weird for me because it's just like I was just like looking at Twitter posts and listening to Alfie Schefter sending in every text of what was going on for Star Wars.
That's pretty much how I was catching it. Was just on X or
Yeah,
Yeah.
Twitter.
I watch it. I don't. I in
I,
years past when it's been in the U.S. and like a relatively normal time, I would watch majority of it or just have it on in the background. But I would watch it like kind of late at night when it was on. But it's kind of hit or miss what you're going to be tuning into. But yeah, I watched a little.
cool.
I did too. I watched once Alfie sent that link because I was like, where am I? Because I didn't even, my brain was Disney and Star Wars try to keep everything so concealed that they don't want just the regular fan who hasn't paid a ton of money to go to Japan to see it. I was like, is this out there anywhere? Alfie's like, boom, here's the link, YouTube, go. And I was like, great. So I just popped right on my phone. I just started watching, and I was taking it all in. Some of it was entertaining. Some of it I was like, this is, kind of goofy, but it it was at least fun to feel like you were a part of it. And
Mm-hmm.
you said you've not been to any conventions or anything yet. I will say it is on the forefront, no matter what else is going on, that for the 50th anniversary, 2027 in LA, I've already talked to my son Joey. I've already talked to my wife. I'm starting to talk to these guys. It's just, it's going to happen. We're going to make it happen. And I'm talking to Scott Rifen and Steve Glosson. I'm talking to Mark Newbold from England, and I'm saying, guys, we had some of us have never met face to face, right? If we can't before then, that's got to be the place where we all go. We all meet. We all spend time together and just laugh it up and have fun, because how many more times is this going to happen, right? I mean, it's going to be a big deal. The 50th anniversary in LA, I know it seems forever from now, but what is it, a year and a half, maybe 2 years at the most, right? Isn't it? Well, yeah, it's 2 years, April 2027.
Mm-hmm.
So that'll happen in a blink of an eye. So Dr. Squatch, put it on your agenda. If you don't go to anything before then, you got to go to that. And the
Love it.
celebrations are different. Wouldn't you agree, Alfie?
Oh yeah, we went to the first, or not the first two, the second and the
The
third, and
second,
they weren't
third.
nearly as big as they are now,
Yep.
and it was still something completely mind blowing.
Yeah, we went to 2 and 3 in Indy, and then Joey and I went to 2019 in Chicago. And that was a madhouse. I mean, we were like, what the heck? I mean, it was crazy, but we really had fun, and we got to go check out a Cubs game, so that helped. That was
It
good.
counts.
Yeah. So let's bounce into Andor. Everybody watch it. Everybody get all 3 episodes in.
yes.
Did it. We're
I
in.
would you say Gilroy was right to try to sit there and think that we're going to talk about 3 45 or 50-minute episodes in one podcast? That was a lot to take in.
Yeah, it was. There's definitely probably going to be some things that are missed being touched on. But I know you got that notepad in front of you, Joe. I know it's got to be a long one tonight, but
Look, Tom Line says I go in with no game plan. That is not true whatsoever. Sometimes I veer off the game plan.
Yeah, we just don't stick to it.
That's right.
You have the game plan, Joe. I'm the guy who's like pulling the steering wheel in different directions constantly. I'm
That's
just going
okay.
off the rails.
So let's do kind of the numbers and the details on it. 3 episodes, Andor. First episode called 4 BBY. Or
Mhm.
I love that they use the BBY, because for old school EU people, we lived off BBY, ABY. It was awesome. So that was 1 year later. Then Sagrona Tima, which they had to throw in some odd words for us there with episode 2. And then episode 3, Harvest. I know Alfie's going to want to talk about the dinner parties, the wedding planning, everything like that. But honestly, that didn't bother me too much. I was okay with it. I felt like it was adding to the story instead of detracting from the story. But I'm gonna let you guys. It's a free for all. Let's hit anything and everything you want to hit. Andor, the first 3 episodes are out. I already said 2 thumbs up for me. So let's go. Any topics you guys want to hit? Let's roll with it.
I'm wondering what Alfie's thinking right now. I want Alfie to set it off.
No,
Alfie,
Okay,
start
okay.
it.
Here.
So first 3 minutes of the series, did you catch the Rogue One reference?
He was talking to the girl, the commander, stole the ship.
It was before that. So she said that the password was Kafrene,
Ring of
and that
Kafrene.
was the mining planet in Rogue One.
Yeah, that's like where the first scene is, right? Where he has to.
Yeah, where he gun smokes
Neutralize
one
the-
of Saw Gerrera's guys.
Right.
Wow. Love it. Book of Alfie strikes again.
The TIE Avenger is sweet though, because that's new to canon, right?
Okay.
Bring it.
That's what I need. That's what I need.
To the Disney canon, that is actually from a 1994 computer game by LucasArts called TIE Fighter. The
There
TIE
we go.
Avenger. And then
Absolutely.
Kylo Ren's TIE Silencer was based on that design.
Hmm.
And did you catch the TIE fighters that were chasing him? Those were the prototype TIE Avengers from Rebels.
Rebels, yes. I did recognize those.
Yeah, they looked familiar to me. That's why I couldn't tell if they were oh my god, what were they called during the Clone Wars and Revenge of the Sith? The ships that kind of
Tri-fighters?
yeah, the ones that kind of looked like them, but they were a little more sleek on the the chassis itself. I forget.
Well,
Probably
Alfie
not.
stepped away, so we'll wait for him to answer that one. The Dr. Squatch, you seem to be on top of it pretty well here. The Sinar, wasn't that used in Rebels? Wasn't Sinar like a factory or a division of something in
Yeah.
Rebels?
Yeah, so it's like I like Star Wars trivia, and that's like a trivia thing is like who makes TIE fighters at Sinar Fleet Systems. So that was bizarre to see like the testing facility for that. It was pretty cool. I thought that was great. I enjoyed it.
Was
I did
was
too.
that not one of the coolest dives into the cockpit of a TIE fighter and just like seeing? I just thought they did such a good job of showing like him touching all the panels and like the controls for this new prototype and everything. Like it was incredible. I'm like, why is there not a Lego of this freaking ship on the shelves right now? Like that was
Yeah.
driving me crazy. 'Cause
It'll be here soon. It's got to be.
I
Yeah,
sure as
people are
heck
gonna
hope so
recreate
because
that.
they already released the lineup for Andor, and they really just redid the U-wing to a cheaper version of the one that I have. So like they did do a couple new Andor ones though, but that's not in there, and I can't wait to build that darn thing because it really. I think it's one of the most. I was thinking that last night. I'm like, this is. It might have been part of the experience and how well the point of view they gave you of it, but I'm like, this is one of the most badass Star Wars ships I've seen.
Yeah, totally agree. It can go into hyperspace, which not all TIEs, I guess, can do, right? And it just looks sweet. I love the design. It's incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. It was a lot bigger inside than what you think a regular TIE fighter would be, right? I mean, I'm used to the 1977 where they're in the ball is like wrapped around them. And now we start seeing like in Rebels where Ezra and what the heck's the big guy's name? I'm blanking. Zeb could fit into one, right? And then in the sequel trilogy, you got him facing back and front. So now you're expanding on everything to do with ties. But this one was pretty intense, and I liked it when he crashed it, when he was stuck later on, how many people were sitting in that thing trying to figure it all out, right? There were like 5 people in there.
Yeah. Have any of you guys ever been in the seat of an excavator before? This is an odd question, so it's obviously might be no because I've been in the construction field.
No.
But it reminded me of the first time I was ever in an excavator trying to dig in it, because one throttle on one side moves like these sections of the arm, and the other one will move the bucket in like another section, and you can get into a rhythm where you can kind of figure it out. But then, like, if you get lost, it kind of screws everything up. So like, yeah, you'll have front and back, like left to right here, and it gets confusing. And it's like watching him, I'm like, this reminds me of the first time I was ever trying to figure out how to dig a hole. And don't get me wrong, I was never a professional. My boss had one and was like, go mess around it, try using it. I was just like, okay. But that's what it reminded me of. And I would feel like I was getting it, and then I would totally lose control of what I like, not lose control, but just lose the feel of it, So it shows the experience that Andor has 1 year later past last season, where it's like he can get in this thing and figure it out. Like, it's pretty cool.
Yeah. Sorry, Alfie. We were still talking about the ship.
No,
all the way
you're
from the
fine.
very beginning.
Alfie, have you ever been in an excavator, like a bucket truck?
No, but to your point, the first times I used like a boom lift, where not only does it go up, but then it goes out, and then you can twist it around, and then you can twist the basket, and the basket can go up and down and left to right. And
I don't think I have the dexterity. I honestly, that's one reason I never want to play the piano, because I like my hands to be doing kind of like similar things at the same time, right? So having to think about back and forth and one side to side, I don't know if my brain works that way. I know there's certain people that it does, certain it doesn't. But watching him, where he's like flying with one arm, doing the speed or the guns with the other arm, and that right there, I was just like, I would have failed miserably at that right there. I just would not have done well. I don't know. But then saying that, I want to learn how to play the drums. So I guess I should probably work on that.
How
Look, guys,
cool were the sets with that too, though? The real sets that it looked like they had, I really can't wait to see the behind the scenes of this show, because it looks like they really invested into those sets. Maybe the magic fooled me on it, but I don't know.
Appreciated when he's like in that hangar, facing the like snow. I don't know what the
range trooper.
Trooper, perfect. You can see Cassian like in the cockpit from like the outside viewpoint, which I don't know. I just appreciated that it wasn't just a reflection. You just imagine that he's in there. You can actually see him in there.
Yeah. They built a full size TIE Avenger for that.
Yeah, that's what that's seriously. Watching those scenes, I'm like, there's no way this thing is not real, because those stairs leading into the cockpit and him walking along the wings, and I'm pretty sure he might touch the wings at one point when he's walking by it, and I'm just like, this thing is a full-scale model. It has to be.
Were they just like swinging it around, Alfie, like on cords and stuff to make it like the action or the look of action?
Don't know, and I would have to go back and find the article again and reread it, but I'm pretty sure it said they built a full-size TIE Avenger, and then I think they built a second set for the interior.
Wow. Can they ship that to Disney World? I'd like to
I know.
Yes, put that in. Yes, Galaxy's Edge. I'll take that.
Room. Yeah.
I will not ask any questions why it's there. It could make sense for it to show up at what is it, Jakku? Or no,
Darth Vader, whatever. Kylo Ren. Any of those people can walk out of it. I don't care.
Oh yeah.
You brought up Galaxy's Edge, and I'm sorry to go out of order here, but I don't want to forget. The third episode, The Wedding.
Yes.
The silverware was the same as from Galaxy's Edge.
And when the first episode was from the Star Cruiser. The first episode was their dining room or dining hall area in the Star Cruiser, I believe, right? Where the tables were, where he was waiting to go out there. I believe that was part of the Star Cruiser. I saw an article real quick that said, compare this to this. Like when you're sitting there eating and the lady was up there singing, the tables were like that, and the the pillars that held up the room look like those in there. So interesting on all that. I will say across the board, the filming was beautiful. The music was great. And this is across all three episodes. I thought the acting was fantastic. There were characters that I started to like more in these three episodes. There were characters that I started to despise in these three episodes. And you know, I think some of the reason we didn't like it in the past is I almost felt like it was a Star Wars soap opera. But I think they took that and expanded on it in this one to where it wasn't the Joey Tribbiani, fish hook in the eyebrow and smelling a bad fart kind of acting that you do in
Mm,
soap operas. It was real like drama acting, and they weren't 5 minute monologues. It was shorter monologues, talking points, and then they cut away to the next scene, which I really liked. All
right.
that. So go ahead, Alfie.
One big improvement on this season is these monologues carry weight to them. We they have You can see the end of where this monologue is going. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Whereas in the first season, I felt like they talked there. There were the three big ones. You know that were really good, but now you can see where there's a story developing here, and it's closer to a story that we know and know how it's going to end. So it makes you pay a little bit more attention
Mm,
because we Mon Mothma's arc here in these three episodes, to me, was her getting the realization that she can no longer be the passive senator. She's she's getting her hands dirty.
hmm,
Now she's involved her family into this marriage. She's siding with a criminal, and basically, and I'm sorry again to jump ahead here, but to round out my point here, she basically just said, "We're going to have to kill my childhood friend."
Yes.
Yeah, he skirted the law for us. What we're doing is hurting him financially. We're afraid he might rat. So, you know, two steel jackets, one here and one here, and bury him, somewhere out in the Meadowlands in a shallow grave.
And they have the perfect person to do it
Right,
in her sister's former lover
right,
coming back out of nowhere that she hasn't
right.
heard from forever. So,
mm,
I
yeah.
thought it was a very interesting, because we hear about what this series is going to say, politically or how it's going to fit into today or whatever. And really, what these first three episodes said is the rebellion's pretty much going to fuck over your life.
Yeah.
And you're going to lose your family. You're going to lose the people you love. People are going to get killed. You're going to destroy friends, financially. And like Cassian says in Rogue One, it's for the greater good.
Yeah.
mm,
Yeah.
Dr.
And
T
go.
Doc, go, and then Dr. Squatch.
Yeah, and to Alfie's point, it's like that's kind of the conversation he had with that girl who was giving him the codes to that ship in the beginning, which I thought that was a pretty powerful scene when she was kind of like starting to cry and she was kind of afraid, it was,
Fantastic.
Cassian's just locked in. It's just another day for him. He's got steady hands, even though he's crashing the ship all over the place. But like you said, he's just like,
mm,
regardless of what happens to you, even if you die for this, you're doing the right thing, and that's all that matters. So yeah, it's pretty wild.
mm. Yeah, and to go off of your point, Alfie, kind of just how the rebellion really just attacks and messes up every area of your life. Because I think that we've kind of been led to like be on the edge of our seat about the whole marriage thing and dealing with this criminal guy and like if anything's gonna go wrong, it was gonna be that. But like when Tay was talking, and again, I guess I'm jumping ahead too, but um, he's like, all this is working out. Like you've got exactly what you wanted. Your finances are smoothed over, and
Mm-hmm.
everybody else is happy. But it ended up being like the person that we all thought we could trust, and that was going to be the solid rock, and that's actually what the problem ended up being. And so, yeah, I think it really does just reach into every aspect of her life, and yeah, I think she's coming to terms with that.
I have to wonder where her relationship will go with Perrin and her daughter when she does do the final break. Right, right now they can live in the lap of luxury, and everybody can be hunky dory, and everybody's fine. But when she finally breaks away, like she does in Rebels, is there any going back to that family? And let's face it, I'm not sure there's much of a family to go back to. Her daughter
or
ripped
what
her apart.
repercussions do they
Mm,
feel?
yeah,
Hey, Mon Mothma went into hiding, but I don't think the ISB happens to be the nicest of people.
no,
What are they going to face? To try to get information from them.
100%. I will throw it out there and say that Mina Rao, I think, was the city, the planet that his friends Bix and Will and Brasso were on. Cassian's
Hmm.
friends that were waiting for him. I think we all expected that to maybe be Lothal. Come to find out, it's probably very similar to it, but it's not Lothal. Um, I thought that was well laid out. We had Yavin 4. We had the place where he sold the ship from. We had Mina Rao. We had Chandrilla, and we had Coruscant, all in 3 episodes. If I'm forgetting another one, let me know. But I thought,
Wherever Krennic's base was.
oh yeah, he was off by himself. But Mina Rao, not only the scenery, the setup, the Empire coming in, but then the Empire doing what it did. I thought Will, Bix, and Brasso, all intriguing storylines. And I was really, as much as I wanted to keep focusing on Mon Mothma, Cyril, and Deirdre, who we'll talk about in a little bit, and things like that, I really enjoyed the storyline there with those characters. I thought there was a lot of depth in just being out there and working and trying to keep hidden. If you guys want to expand, or if you guys had any thoughts on Mina Rao and those characters there.
Yeah. I like the planet. I think that it was cool because obviously it feels very remote. Like it seems like an ideal place for them to kind of hide out and disappear. But when the Empire comes, I think they feel so exposed and like they just can't escape. And that's kind of the problem with being so remote is it you just can't really get away. And so I thought that was a really cool thing as well. Um, and also to see kind of like after a year what their lives have become, right, and how they've taken on these new lives. And Brasso has a girlfriend, and they all have these new love interests, and it shows that they've kind of taken on this new life as that's totally different from the one that they had on Ferrix. And again, it's the rebellion, how it just affects your entire life, and you just got to pick up and move on.
Hey, seeing the rebellion reminds me of the American Revolution, and I'm not going to go political one side or another in our real world today, but there's a lot of people angry at each other. Doesn't matter which side of the fence you're on, but there's a lot of stuff going on that 250 years ago people would have started the Revolutionary War for, and you hear those stories and you think, oh, 2 cent tax on tea, or you can't do this thing across colonial lines, or the king won't let you buy this certain item, and you're ready to go to war. And here these people are, and they're actually just like those revolutionary people. They're little bits of their lives are getting taken away. They're having a boot heel put down on their neck every step of the way. I just watch that, and that's where it kind of intersects for me. I'm a huge history buff, so I'm watching that, and I'm thinking, man, it's almost like the different colonies putting together their continental, their little armies to face the British, and that's kind of what's going on here as well, across the rebellion, and we see more of that later. But anyway, that was just my 2 cents worth right there. I love the characters, Bix and God love him, Brasso, gone too soon. I thought he'd make it through the second season.
You
So
never want to be the heavy of the group.
Dang, I've never thought about that. You're right.
like Luca Brasi,
Baze
Well,
Malbus,
yes, Baze,
he in the Clone Wars, and
yeah. Any clone
gosh,
trooper who had the big, machine gun,
Paz
yeah.
you know,
Vizsla.
Paz
they don't.
Vizsla.
Yeah,
Oh wow, wow.
they don't have a high survival rate.
Is this a bad sign for Zeb and Ahsoka season 2? Hopefully
Oh,
not. Hopefully not.
interesting.
Well, it's like that. If you're like a certain size, you're capable of being shot by a stormtrooper. Like you're giving them enough, enough of a target. It looked like it took that stormtrooper about 10 seconds to aim at him because
Yeah.
they did zoom in on the one like scoping them out. Where I
I was
kind of
totally
cracked up at
expecting
that.
them to show where that bullet went, but they just didn't, and I was like, okay, that was just an
Yeah.
artistic choice, but obviously that was the killing shot. But
I think they did a good job in all of these episodes in showing that you can't be on your own. That they need to come together as
mm,
one rebellion.
Yes, I would agree. Do you? We'll talk about the Yavin Four group and the mix up with the tie that went there with Cassian, but I want to throw this out there. There was a, I think we all like Luthen. I think he's one of everybody's favorite characters. There's so much depth in that character. Don't know if he's going to make it through all this, all 12 episodes, but man, he and his co-conspirator, I don't remember her name. I apologize. Uh, but they are awesome. I love that group. But with him interacting with Davos, do we? I mean, he's always crossing lines, and that guy is shady as hell. I mean, do we feel like there's some weirdness going on with him? He's pretty much like you said, Alfie. He's decided I'm going to go ahead and go kill Tay. That we'll find that
Hmm.
out in the next episode probably. But where do we think it with this relationship, crisscrossing Mon, Luthen, now Davos in there? Do we see anything that could come of this, or is this going to get messy?
Oh, I think it's really going to get messy. And the comparison I'm going to make is one, I don't want you to take it so severely. I don't. They're not on the same level, but he's a very Palpatine-esque type of character who
Mm-hmm.
is always looking for, just a little edge. When he talked to the recruits at the wedding, in
Oh yeah.
in a very sly way, was trying to get information on where they were stationed, where they were going, and one said, "Oh well, we actually got moved here," and he's like, "Oh, tell me why did you get moved there, and where are you going after that?" So I think he's always looking for an opportunity in every person that he meets to just get a little more of an edge.
I agree.
I'm actually looking up the actress who plays his secondhand man right now, so I'm kind of slightly.
Kalea is, I think, the character's name, but
She's so good. That's Joe bringing that up is like, yeah, she's excellent.
She is, and I saw somebody post something today and said if we would have looked for a younger Leia, somebody
mhm.
posted that on X, and it was I was like, wow, I didn't think about it, but there were some definite signs that she could have played a Leia, pre whatever or post. I don't know, but
Mhm.
Man, she has not like she's only been in 8 things, I'm saying only, but it's like some of them are just like 1 episodes of a show, like 2 episodes of a show, like Andor is really her thing. That's interesting. Just, like Andor is her main thing she's done. That's pretty wild. I think she's a good actress.
Oh yeah.
Brent just dropped into the chat and said he's going to turn them into the Empire. Brent, I'm guessing you meaning Davos is going to hand them over, or Luthen is going to hand them over. I'm sure he'll answer here in a minute. Okay, let's some of the leads that we've already buried. Orson Krennic back involved with this right here. I love that character. Loved him in
He's
Rogue
great.
One. He was great in this one. Oh,
Mhm.
Tay. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, the shady banker.
Yeah. No, yeah. Orson Krennic is great. That group they put together is great. I love how we went through the 1950s or 60s commercials or documentaries talking about that planet and the spiders and the silk they make and all this stuff. But then it's really about the mining that they want to do there, right? To build the things for the Death Star.
Right. And the mining is going to destroy the planet eventually, or has the potential to cause a planetary catastrophe.
How funny was it where it felt like almost in real time while we're watching this projector and it's going into the history of it, as you kind of start to squirm and be like, what the hell are we watching? They're showing the people in the room kind of having the same thoughts of like, what are we watching right now? You know? It was cool to see a projector screen slowly roll down in Star Wars though and have like a film reel running on it. It was kind of hilarious.
It almost made me want to get ready to take a nap, kind of like back in high school when the projector came out in the classroom.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, turn the lights down.
That's right. Okay, so we hit a little bit on that. Yavin 4. Now, if I'm not mistaken, wasn't it brought up in either EU or some other storyline where there were creatures out in the forest that were pretty rough and
Yes.
just like that one that got some of those people that were there.
They were black, almost kind of feral, maybe. I think with red eyes. They had something to do with the Sith.
Okay. Are we thinking that was one of those creatures, or was that something different, just another
It
creature?
looked something different. It looked like a rhinoceros kind of thing.
Okay.
Yeah. Joe, do you mind if I ask one more question about that projector room scene? Because it was just something.
No, I'm just trying to spark any conversation you guys want to talk about.
I don't want to throw us off, but
you're not. Go ahead.
What did you guys think of the interaction between Deidre and Krennic? Didn't it seem like he kind of has some kind of, feelings for her or something? Like, am I wrong in that? Like, it was kind of weird. I was like, ooh, does Krennic, like, have something for her? Maybe it's just me. Yeah. Maybe I don't know. I did watch it late last night, so maybe I was just a little tired, but I was like, the way he's talking to her, he almost seems like he's, like, kind of nervous talking to her. Like, I don't know. It was just a little, I just thought the interaction was a little strange between the two of them. The way he approached her. Did you see that at all, Alfie or Squatch?
I thought he was more sympathetic to what happened on Ferrix.
Okay.
And maybe a little like, hey, I know what you're going through. Kind of surprised that you're back at work so soon.
It's weird that because he mentioned, right, that he like went out of his way to put her on the team. And I guess when I watched it, it was more of just like a respect or like he sees the potential in her type of thing. Okay. But at the same time, he seemed to know a lot about her and also just had an intuition as to, what she was thinking or already thought, which I thought that was a little bit strange. But that was the first time they met, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's why I was just like, that's like a little interesting. Like he kind of like broke character a little bit, I thought, while they were talking to each other, like being like Mr. Tough Guy leader to the way he handled talking to her. So that was just one thing. I didn't know if I was looking too deep into that or not, but
I think he saw someone who fit the mold of him, who was ruthless, who would get the job done, who would go to any cost to make sure it happened, because that's what he's done in his career. So I think he looked at her and said, this is the person that I can put in charge of this project and know full well that all I have to do is say, get this done. She's going to do it. And then he can sit back and reap the benefits of it. So I think that's the way he was looking at it. And I think he does have a high level of respect for her. Look, those people are all, we think with social media and everything, like we know everything that's going on in everybody's lives these days. But in all reality, these kind of people, these spy networks and the ISB, they've got somebody watching a little bit of everybody all the time. So I think he had somebody kind of following her, keeping up with her, and that's where he was going with it. I didn't see a romantic thing at all, but doesn't mean he didn't have a crush on her or something. But
yeah, maybe it wasn't romantic. I could see sympathetic more. It was just like initial reaction to me watching. I was like, oh, he's definitely talking to her a little differently than what I'm used to seeing him talk to people like. So,
well, and he's also setting her up for what she's already been through once. Just she was very unsuccessful at it.
Yeah.
because that's the end game here. He's lying to them the entire time. It's not for unlimited power or some
Correct.
energy project or the economy. It's for a planet killing machine. And he wants there to be some reason why they can go in and wipe out the Gormans.
You know, it's funny I mentioned earlier that the rebels remind me of American revolutionaries, while I don't feel like the Empire reminds me of the British. It reminds me of Nazi Germany. And Nazi Germany was fantastic at their propaganda machine, right? And here we were in that screen projector room with two guys ready to go with their propaganda, their marketing of it, how they were going to lay out the plan, everything like that. It was almost like we were seeing a sales pitch going on to the Imperials of how we're going to get it done, right? And I liked him. He's like, yeah, no, we get the picture.
Yeah.
We understand. Yeah, we
He's
get
like, which is like, that's what season 1 was missing. Was I had a few chuckles during these 3 episodes where he was just like, all right, enough with you guys. Like, knock it off. I got a good laugh out of that one.
Well, and it couldn't be any more heavy-handed. They're in like the eagle's nest
it.
up in the mountains, discussing how they're going to massacre a planet full of people
Yep.
without saying it. I mean,
Good call.
he didn't come out and say it, but that's what he's implying. I want a reason that it will be okay to kill all these people.
And it was interesting what Dedra said too. With like her idea was that you need to have a rebel there or rebels that will kind of do whatever wrong that they need them to do. And so I wonder if that's kind of a look into the future episodes where Cassian, they'll maybe draw Cassian there or somebody there that they know will kind of go as far as they want them to, and it'll be interesting to see. Just all for propaganda, I guess.
I feel pretty confident that it's going to be some type of false flag operation to make the rebels look bad, like they attacked first.
I would say in the first 3 episodes, and we still have plenty to talk about. We've got to talk about Cyril, Deidre, and the mother, and the fondue that they were enjoying, but and that weird cake. But if you look at this, we didn't see Benjamin Pratt, who's going to be taking over for Jimmy Smits. We didn't see Saul Guerrera, right? Who else are we missing that we should or can expect to see in this? I'm trying to think off the top of my head besides those two.
K2SO.
Oh yeah, K2SO. So we're through that first segment, which these are supposed to be year by year, right? So the next one's going to be a year from now. Where have we gone to from this? There's a lot of things that are going to time jump and get us to this next thing. Gorman's going to be in the future, all that stuff. But even with missing some of those things that we expected to see or thought we might see, there was a lot in these 3, and I think DDoc, you talked about it. The speech that Cassian gave to that young lady in the first, it really was an uplifting, motivational speech about the chances she was taking and making her believe in herself and have something to believe in. And he was kind of getting pumped about this is it. This is the energy, right? This is what keeps you going, right? This living on the edge kind of thing. I really enjoyed that. Then you have Luthen going to Mon and saying, what's the cost? What's the cost? You're not telling me the cost. Oh, by the way, there's things we got to do. And then she's like, I don't know what you're talking about. And what do he say? How wonderful for you, or how good that you don't have to think like that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he knows he has to think like that at all times. And here's a good man who's done good things. And just because the risk that he's going to turn because of money or bad financial situation, you got to take him out. And he hasn't done anything else except help get them to where they need to be. So this has got a lot of twists and turns in front of us. And this was just 3 episodes in.
It's good stuff, man. It really is.
It's all just so purposeful and detailed. I love it, and you can just see they're moving in a specific direction. So I can't wait to see.
I mean, she figured out finally in the conversation that they
Yeah.
were discussing, we're killing this guy, and then proceeded to take a bunch of shots and then dance, start dancing.
Well,
Yeah.
it's go ahead, Squatch.
Well, I was just gonna ask y'all, like, what was that because she just couldn't handle knowing, or just like the emotion that comes with
Yes.
the full day? And yeah, I guess. Um,
I feel like it's almost a culmination of she's like, my daughter doesn't listen to me. My husband hates me and thinks I'm having an affair. I'm gonna have to kill this guy who I'm working with. Like, but I might come out of this the right way at the end, and I know that I'm doing it for good. So I'm just gonna pound shots and just dance because what the hell else can I do? You know what I mean? It's like it turned out to be a pretty rough day for her. Like her trying to talk to her daughter, and her daughter just basically
Mm.
being like, "Screw you," you know.
mhm.
It's It's great.
Mhm.
Her acting in it was great. There was I noticed there's a lot of shots where they'll pan in on her face where she's like having that moment where like you can tell she has 1,000 thoughts racing through her head, and she sits there and then it's just like, all right, move on. You know what I mean? Like she'll just turn and walk to do something else.
These kind of shows make me want to go look up and see other shows that these people are in. And her acting, this is my opinion. I know it's boring wedding talk and all that kind of stuff, Alfie, but her acting from season 1 into season 2 makes me want to go look and see what else Genevieve O'Reilly has done, because I think she's fantastic as an actress. I think she's doing a wonderful job, and I there's got to be some other good things out there that she's done that are different. Speaking of that, Deirdre, she's got a new show out on Hulu. I think Lost Girl or Lost Child or something like that. I want to go check that out as well, because obviously she's not playing the same kind of role that she is in this. You guys talked about the weirdness of the scene with Bix and the Imperial. Let's throw that out there. Is this our first attempted rape scene in a Star Wars situation? That was intense.
Yeah, it was very intense. I was like thinking like the first time he met her, I was like, "Ooh, like this dude's a creeper." Like you could tell right away.
Right.
And then when he came back and then that scene panned out, and then she straight up said, he tried to do that. Like it was wild. Like it was very, but again, Joe, like you mentioning that like in this show, the Empire really does remind you essentially of like Nazi Germany. Like this was like like going into these like small town like areas, and like you have like one rogue soldier who's going to do some crazy stuff, and that's what's these guys are going all over the place, and they're freaking nuts, and it was crazy to see that. It was crazy to see that in Star Wars. I was pretty blown away by seeing that. I mean, she
Yeah.
beat the shit out of him, which was good, but it was
Yeah.
wild. It took me by surprise, I'll say.
I think at least kind of what I am seeing is just like thematically in the show as well is, obviously this is kind of the story of how the rebels are trying to show the galaxy, that the empire is wrong and needs and corrupt and needs to be taken out. But I think that, I don't know, it seems like a lot of this show is kind of trying to convince the audience, like the viewers, that the empire is bad as well. And I don't know, I thought about like the popular subreddit, like the empire did nothing wrong and all that. And but it seems like Tony Gilroy is really trying to push like the empire is corrupt from its highest leader as the emperor all the way to like these most outstretching branches. It's like this power trip that just affects the entire empire from its core, and it seems like that's just something that they're really trying to get across to the audience.
But on the other hand, outside of that one scene, we're seeing the rebellion doing a lot of shady stuff too.
Mm-hmm.
Cassian Gunsmoked how many rebels?
Yeah,
Mon Mothma's married her daughter into a criminal family. How that's kind of.
yeah,
Yeah.
I understand that you're trying to overthrow the tyrannical empire, but if you're at what point is your morality no less than theirs?
Yeah,
Hmm.
it's interesting. And it's like part of this is it's like this is not and I've seen debates about it on Twitter today. It actually Twitter's been lit on fire
Oh yeah.
specifically about this scene uh today.
I haven't been on enough, so I haven't checked it out.
Oh yeah, that's like this scene is like the
It's
hot
wild.
the hot
Yeah,
topic really.
it is. I've seen a
Whether it
lot of it.
should like whether it should be in there or not. But one thing I've wanted is a more mature, you know, unfiltered version of Star Wars, and this is what we're getting. We're getting a more mature, unfiltered version of it. It's like, and I was thinking about that last night because that like that's a scene that'll stick with you. It was pretty screwed up. It was really obviously,
Mm.
but I was thinking that last night where it's like, well, this is kind of the version of Star Wars that I've kind of wanted to see, where it's like, take a little bit of the restraints off and show us how screwed up it really is. And they have done that.
Mhm.
And it's crazy to see it pan out in the show. So, yeah, it's wild.
Well, I only have two more things, and I know we've gone fairly long, so I'll just try to be brief on those to just get your thoughts on it. One, it's hard to cut off the head of the snake if you don't know where the head of the snake is, and I think you see that when they're sitting in Yavin, and that group sitting there saying, we're my brother did this and our group did that, and Cassian's going, we funded you, we're the ones who did this for you, we know who you are because we paid for you to go and do these things, and they don't trust him, right? So they don't even know where things are coming and going to, coming from and going to in the rebellion. So I think as we saw in Rebels season by season, how they became more and more, in a kid's style friendlier way, where Ezra's like, wait, there's more of us, you know, this is doing the same thing, to where you're mixing all these different groups together that didn't even know they were working together, thought they were their own little rebel army by themselves. So I thought that was really well played, and they had to show it here at the beginning because it's going to look completely different by the time we get to the third or fourth weekend, or the third or fourth week of these shows. Maybe some of these same characters who were just stuck there stranded on Yavin
Hmm.
are going to be showing back up later on because they're in the place where they're going to build the rebel hold. So, you guys' thoughts on that one?
I want Alfie to answer that. Looking at him.
My mind just went blank. But yeah, I mean, I agree with that, and I get the point of those scenes, but I just think it went on too long. It's just like the Deidre and Cyril scene. Okay, so the next week, a year has passed. So what significance did that scene with his mom do to the story?
Well, and I'm glad you brought that up because that was the only other topic I had. So go ahead and finish
Yeah.
it.
Does it?
Like I said, with this is trying to show that they need to come together as a rebellion and be under, a what eventually is a council. And then they're really still kind of ineffective because of the bureaucracy of the council. But they all know that they have one objective and they're working together in some sense. I hope that there is a point to the Deidre and Cyril romance and why they live in this weird, like, OCD serial killer house that's spotless and everything's white. Um,
That makes
did,
sense to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
did we need the focus on the outfits and picking? I mean, I get that it's like an important thing to meet your boyfriend's mother, but man, this should really have some payoff because we devoted a lot of time to this. And I mean, I like it. It's weird and it's awkward, but you have an ending to this. You know what I mean? There's a finite ending. there's only so much story we can fit into this. And
Yeah.
yes, I like that she laid the law down with the mother-in-law, but I've never understood
Yeah.
this plot line, even in the first season with his mother. I, I mean, I guess I do in setting up his character, but
Yeah.
man, we've just devoted a lot of time to it.
I will say, Alfie, like, and which they did spend a lot of time with the guys. Like, these two things combined together: the time spent on Yavin with the crew, and then the time spent with Deidre and stuff like that. I want to say I feel like the time spent on Yavin was more so to show the funding for the rebellion is a little iffy. It's almost like one of those situations where you hear about, like, we're you could even put it into modern days where it's like, we might be funding some kind of rebellion, in like another country, and next thing you know, they become the rebellion or whatever against you. Like, it's kind of one of those situations. And then I think it was also just to show that Cassian, who was pretty much screwed in that situation, can still find a way out of it, which they did take time to figure that out. I did enjoy them pulling the ship one like centimeter at a time to try to aim at them. That was kind of hilarious to me. But I I gotta say, and I was watching that scene with Deidre and him, and Cyril, and I was like, Alfie's hating the scene. I thought that in my head. But I was laughing my ass off at it because they're just such interesting characters. And I knew right when Cyril was like, I got to step out of the room, I was like, Deidre's about to verbally gun smoke the mom because she's not taking that crap. And it was really funny to see her bitch her out. But the whole reason that we got that scene is because now we know that Uncle Harlow is a fraud. That's the whole reason why that scene happened, Alfie. Good old Uncle Harlow.
I liked that scene. I liked those characters, but at the same time, I'm watching it going, hey, we're feels like we're wasting a lot of time here. They're so we don't see them for another year, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, where's this going? I hope that there is a payoff to this.
I don't know if we'll ever see the. I don't know. Do you think we'll see the Yavin 4 crew again? I don't know if we will. But to
They're out
me,
of
so no. Go ahead.
Yeah, they're out of food, so I don't know how long they would be able to survive. They tried eating those melons, and that didn't seem like it
No.
worked out well.
But it seems like it's this kind of like animalistic microcosm, like this lens into just at our core, like we need food, we need water. There's still going to be this power dynamic. There's still going to be like turning on each other, lack of trust. It's almost just like they were trying to show kind of at our like base animalistic level, like this is what happens, and on a larger scale, that's in the Empire. I saw something on Twitter about like the Dedra, Cyril, and mom scene, like how it's so like the contrast is so stark between like Bix and everybody on that planet, like literally fighting for their lives. And then you cut to Cyril and Dedra, and Cyril's like having a breakdown because his mom is being rude to him at dinner. And I don't know. It seems like maybe that was purposeful. I'm not sure. But also, I think it goes into a little bit of it, like you said, Alfie, into Cyril's character arc, and in that I think he just seems like a dependent person. Like he really wants to depend on the Empire or like good or what he sees as good. And he, didn't want to depend on his mom anymore. And now like Dedra's laying down the law with his mom, and he's dependent fully on Dedra now. I don't know. But that's what it seems like to me. Like it was kind of the, like, he's with me now. He's mine. He's no longer yours.
I think what I liked, a couple things on the Deidre and Cyril thing, but overall, I think I liked that each one of these storylines they were telling is showing that each group is fighting their own little battle, whether it's personal battles, whether it's monetary battles, whether it's against the Empire, whether it's against themselves, right? They're fighting something. Cyril even is fighting something against his mom, right? Against his job, against. So there's some kind of internal battle going on with everyone involved. So I like that, but I also will harken back to Cyril and Deidre. They're giving you the face of the Empire, which is not the emperor or somebody up the top of the line. They're giving you real people in real situations to where you can find that you can almost, like, I was rooting for the relationship of Cyril and Deidre. I while they're imperial people, I still like the idea of them being together and like finding some kind of happiness in their life, right? And it reminds me of The Americans, which is one of my favorite shows. And these are Russian spies living in the US. But I found by the end of that series, I was rooting for the Russian spies, right? Because you're following their storyline and you're seeing that even though they're these evil, bad people, they're still people. And so that's why I think I was looking at it with Deidre and Cyril, is that kind of a storyline with me where I'm like, they're giving you a face that's not the Emperor and whoever else, and it's not Grand Moff Tarkin. It's this couple, and while they're in this madness, they're still trying to find some kind of happiness or structure or lifestyle that works for them. So that's just my take on it.
Yeah.
And I like that Adam Parker said when they were doing the circle dance in the wedding, Alfie was pissed. Yeah.
Yeah,
But yeah, I don't know.
I love a good wedding. I do, but that just, and I get it. It built up over 3 episodes. This realization that, like I said, we're going to cap this guy, and like Brent says, he's going to turn them into the Empire. He's not. He's already dead. He never made it to wherever he was supposed to be going. He's dead.
Yep.
I get that. And like I said, I like that these conversations this season have a purpose. You can see where they're going. They're driving you towards a point. But I really liked the first episode. I thought it was much better pacing. It was entertaining to some aspects. The other two, I I don't know. Maybe it's just me, and because I really do not like television series. All the series that people recommend for me, I find them so boring, and they all follow the same formula. A great first episode, then it's a bunch of stuff you could miss, and then catch the mid season, then a bunch of stuff you can miss, and then catch the finale, and it's going to leave you on some cliffhanger that makes it seem like everything was really exciting, and it all came together, and it didn't. I don't know. It's just not for me. The second and third episodes just really slowed down. I think they were still a lot better than season one. I did, I'm trying very hard, to come in with an open mind and not judge it by season one. I liked it a lot better, but I'm just still not really a big fan of it. There are things that I really liked in these 3 episodes. They really improved in some areas, but it's there's got to just be a little bit more. And I understand it's that word that I hate. I hate when people say slow burn. I hate that word. Hate it. Um, but I think it's building to something bigger. And part of me though hates that for the people that really liked season one. I always say it's okay that I don't like something. It's okay that you like something, and I don't want you to make something I dislike better to fit my taste, because then that takes away the reasons why you liked that to begin with.
I thought it was the perfect mix of bringing a little more action and dire situations in each episode with those conversations and weddings and everything. Like I came out. I'll be honest with you guys. I came out of these 3 episodes feeling like the people have been posting about Andor being like the most incredible thing of all time on Twitter. I really liked the 3 episodes. I did.
Yeah.
Like I think that, and was it someone sent in the group text today that from a review. I don't know if it was you, Alfie, where it said like or Joe or someone the first 3 episodes, are good, but the rest of it is dialed up past the first 3 episodes. Where I was like, oh, okay. Like I thought this was more dialed up compared to the first season, which I almost feel like I need to go back and watch some of the first season because I don't remember the scene cuts being like as fast as they were in the first season, and maybe that's just because it's been a while. I watched the 15-minute recap that Disney Plus has on there just to get a little bit of a taste again before I started it last night. But I just don't remember it being like, scene, where you're like, okay, like it felt like it was building, So I think it's going to get better as it goes. So
I do too.
I'm pretty fired up about it, actually. But I also understand Alfie's point as well. I'm not saying you shouldn't feel the way you do.
It's just me. I just don't enjoy. I mean, I really liked Mando, but Mando is not is not paced like any Netflix series is. It was a story of the week. It's not. Yes, there was an ongoing overall story, but every week was a different adventure. So you didn't get that like just drag. And I feel like I don't know. I don't know why that appeals to so many people.
Yeah,
or why it is that I don't get it. Maybe it's all me. I just don't get it. I don't get that.
It's not you, it's me.
Yeah,
Wow.
It's totally me. I just cannot get into these series.
Alfie's breaking up with streaming.
It's
not you, it's me.
Yeah, I tried to watch the Daredevil series that just came out, and I was so bored watching that. It was just so boring. It's like, how is this any different than the Daredevil series that was before?
Does it help you at all that the episodes come out in groups of 3? I feel like that helps me because I just hate doing one episode. I feel like nothing happened, or we got nowhere, and it's still just a cliffhanger. But at least with 3, that kind of rounds out the year. I feel like it has some sort of closed ending.
I really liked that, actually.
I did too.
I love that.
I liked it, and I'm going to say again, I liked this a lot better than season 1. But still, halfway through episode 2, I was looking at the time like, my God, how much time does this have left?
I'll say the hard part about it is every conversation in the show is important. And when Mon Mothma had that conversation with Tay, it is, right? It's Tay.
Mm-hmm.
And she had that one where I was kind of like watching it and paying attention. And then towards the end of the conversation, I realized things went wrong. I was like, hold on a second. I need to rewind this and just watch this entire conversation again. Because sometimes you can slightly zone out when you just have 2 people talking. And I was like, crap, all right, this is a big deal. I need to rewind this and listen to them talk again. And obviously it was a big deal.
Nope. I agree. I do like the 3 at one time. It's hard to get them all watched, but with busy lives, but it was good. You've heard a ton of stuff from me, Alfie, D-Doc, Dr. Squatch. We've been going a long time here. I'm going to give you the chance to start us on the roll of closing up shop. One, we can't thank you enough for always being around what we're doing, being a friend of the show, being a listener, being a friend. I mean, we're all friends here in the Star Wars community, and it's just great to meet you and to learn more about you and see that you're a real person and not some bot who's been chasing us for the past few years.
Right.
But thanks for being here. Close up shop. Any closing thoughts? Anything you want to hit on before we go?
Yeah, I mean, guys, I cannot thank y'all enough for having me on the show. This is an absolute blast for me. I've never been on a podcast or anything before. And it was also not lost on me that, y'all asked me to be on here. I could have been anybody. I could have been, it could have been a disaster tonight, which maybe it still was. But
no, we've had those.
Yeah, nowhere close.
But I mean, I have had so much fun, and I love listening to you guys. And I think what a lot of what makes it special too is that y'all, interact with me in the chat, and I'm like, I feel like I'm a part of the crew when I'm watching, and and I just love kind of hearing what y'all have to say, and it's a great way for me just to enjoy Star Wars even more. And um, but yeah, I'm excited to see the y'all's episodes coming up with the remaining weeks of Andor, and I'm really excited about it. I agree with you, D Doc. Like if the first season I really enjoyed, but I kind of rolled my eyes when I would see stuff on social media saying like this is the best Star Wars that's ever been made, and which I still think that's a little bit of hyperbole, but I was really impressed with these 3 episodes, and I rewatched season 1, and the Narkina 5 stuff is, I think, just incredible, and I'm really excited to see where we go from here. I've got high hopes. Hopefully, that's not going to cause a letdown, but I think it'll
No,
be great.
always have high hopes.
That's right. That's right. That's right. Well,
Love it.
thank you again. Thank you so much. Alfie, any closing thoughts as we break away here?
Yeah, it was great to finally put a face to the name there, Dr. Squatch. I think you did a great job tonight. Thank
Thanks.
you for your support. And,
Absolutely.
I can honestly say that I'm fairly excited about the rest of the series.
Good.
I really enjoyed the first 3 episodes a lot more than I enjoyed anything in season 1. I think it's not quite for me yet, but it's getting there.
As we say on Narkina 5, one of us. One of us. Oh, sorry. I don't know where that came from. I think it was from there. I like saying it.
I think
Anyway.
that was from Wolf of Wall Street.
That's true, Alfie.
All right, D-Doc, close us up, buddy.
Yeah. No, I'm really excited for where the show goes. This is how I posted on Twitter today. This is how the visuals of Star Wars shows. This should be the standard. I think it's amazing. The fields that you saw in this show looked like real fields. It was just there was new things that looked cool that did not look too CGI'd or anything. It felt like cinema. That's what I'll say. Felt like cinema. That's what it felt like. So I'm fired up about that. Squatch, been great time having you on, and I know this is not the last time we're gonna have you on because you're a natural at it. I think we should have Squatch back on for like the Andor wrap up or something, like because he's here for the beginning. Maybe we'll have him on at the end or something. I don't know.
Maybe we'll expand to give him Adam Parker and a few others their own shows. We'll just have a network of all these great podcasters.
Yeah, but great to meet you on here, and it was a fun show. It's always funny. It's like it's how I became a part of this show. I just came on as a guest, and next thing you know,
we're sharing a hotel room together.
Exactly. in Pittsburgh, PA.
I will also give a shout out to Tom Line, Hyperspace Heroes, Brent Dykman, Adam Parker, all who were chiming in on the chat tonight. So thank you guys for doing that. We really appreciate it. Dr. Squatch, you're welcome back anytime. We'll plan some future shows together. Alfie and D-Doc, thank you guys always for being there. Brent, thanks for the Travels with Friends episode earlier this week. And we'll just keep going with this Andor thing because I think it's going to be a fun ride. And until next week, may the Force be with you.